What is good, y'all? It's your girl Queen B coming to y'all with yet another reaction. Now, look here, I need y'all all to do me a favor and tell him that I sent y'all over there. This is coming straight from Kazin Asidu's page, y'all. He is a new content creator. He has a lot of good content on there, very informative. So that's why I'm sharing him to my page. Make sure y'all go like, comment, subscribe, and tell him that I sent y'all over there to him. Okay, he is, I think, at like 2 something K subscribers, y'all. Go over there and show some love and follow this guy, because I promise you he is going to be one of the best in the making coming up on this platform. So make sure y'all go like, comment, subscribe. Now, the topic of this, which is a very touchy topic to me, is worried about Trump's abortion bans. Watch this. This is the thing. I'm a mother of three, and I'm also a mother who has witnessed more than one miscarriage. Unfortunately, I am pro-life. I believe in life. I always tell myself, with my last miscarriage I had, I said, Lord, I would rather be in the hospital on the bed pushing out life versus having to come home and have a natural miscarriage by pushing out a life that is no longer living, not in my control. You know what I'm saying? So this topic is very touchy to me because I am pro-life. I believe in babies having a voice, babies being heard, and babies having a life, because they are innocent souls who are brought into, unfortunately, this evil world. You get what I'm saying? They didn't have no choice on that. So with that being said, y'all, we are going to dive into this video and just get this informative information and take what you can out of this. Okay? Let's get it.
A woman reached out to me with fears about what a Trump presidency could mean about abortion rights and women's bodily autonomy. And if you've been listening to what Kamala has been saying about Trump's position, it's totally understandable why you might feel afraid about another Trump presidency. And I think a lot of this fear is actually based on misinformation and a fundamental misunderstanding of what Trump's position actually is. So in this video, I wanted to clarify some of the misconceptions so that if you're an undecided voter, you can make a clear choice from an informed perspective. And even if you are voting for Kamala, so that at least you feel less afraid about the prospect of another Trump presidency. First, let's look at what Trump has actually said in his own words on public record about abortion.
Let's look.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights. The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart, or in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country, and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people.
Trump's position is that abortion...
Okay, y'all. So real quick, my understanding that Trump is, he's saying he's putting it in the state's hands and for the people to decide on this. So I'm just really trying to understand how people could get his words so twisted. He's literally saying he's taking it out of his hands. He's putting it in the state's hands, and they will decide, and y'all will have a chance to vote to decide. And in his words, he's hoping that you make the right decision for yourself and your family. Don't know how my body, my choice and all this came about and then thrown on him, when clearly he has been saying this not only in this video, but it's several videos. Even the debate between him and Kamala, he brought that up too, because they tried to swing that on him and say that was him. But he brought the same statement that we just saw again during the debate. So it's there. This is why you got to research and see it and get a better understanding for yourself, and not what the media is feeding you.
Abortion is something that should be left up to the states. And essentially, he's just saying he wants to maintain the status quo. You might disagree with the status quo. You might think that in all 50 states, abortion should be allowed without limitation. And that's fair, but let's understand why the status quo is what it is. When the Supreme Court repealed Roe versus Wade, it wasn't because they wanted to have a federal abortion ban. If you read the rationale that the Supreme Court actually issued, they repealed Roe versus Wade because it was their thought that because abortion is not something that is explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, it is not a judiciary matter, and 9 old people on the Supreme Court should not be choosing what the abortion laws are. So they kicked it back to the states.
Okay, so let me pause this, y'all. Let's read real quick. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision, including the one which the defenders of Roe and Casey now chiefly rely. The Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. The provision has been held to guarantee some rights that are not mentioned in the Constitution, but any such right must be deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition and implicate in the concept of order liberty. Supreme Court opinion on repeal of Roe versus Wade.
Now let's look at the lay of the land in the states. In all 50 states, medical necessary abortion is permitted. Now, there's differences in what's considered medical necessity, but it's the case that in all 50 states, you can have an abortion if it's a medical necessity. In 37 out of the 50 states, abortion laws are generally pro-choice. In the remaining 13 states,
in my particular situation, a miscarriage is could be considered a medical because that's something that's out of my control. You know what I'm saying? So that would be put in a medical emergency because, I mean, hey, it's life. I'm losing a life that I have. My body has no control over, so let's go.
5 of the states allow abortion in the case of rape or incest. There are 8 states where abortion is not allowed, even in the case of rape or incest. And these are very, very conservative states like Arkansas or Missouri.
Oh.
In those states, people would argue that having abortion allowed at all fundamentally goes against their values. That said, you might
Hold
think
on, y'all. I want to read those states again.
People would argue that having abortion allowed at all conservative states like Arkansas or
So it's Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Tennessee.
Missouri. In those states, people would argue that having abortion allowed at all fundamentally goes against their values. That said, you might think it's extreme for them to not allow abortion even in the case of rape and incest. And in that case, Donald Trump agrees with you. He's actually said that in the case of rape, incest, or medical necessity, he thinks that abortion should be allowed.
I'm strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother.
Here's the thing. Abortion is one of those things where we will probably never have total consensus on as a society. On the pro-choice side, there's a focus on women's bodily autonomy and women's right to choose. On the pro-life side, there's a focus on the protection of the life of an unborn child.
Facts.
I think that the pro-life side tends to undervalue the women's bodily autonomy because even if it is a life that is inside of a woman. And on the pro-choice side, I think that they tend to undervalue the fact that it is an unborn child whose life they're terminating every time there's an abortion. And 93% of abortions have nothing to do with rape, incest, or medical necessity. They're elective. And there could be any number of reasons why a woman chooses to have an abortion, like socioeconomic status, or not wanting to have a child with a man who got her pregnant, or simply not feeling ready. And it's important to identify that those are valid concerns that these women have. And at the same time, on the pro-life side, they would argue that, yes, those are valid concerns, and still you're terminating a life. So you can see that this is something very complex, and it's not just about religious values or freedom or just right to life. It's about having a confluence of values and trying to understand as a society what the best thing to do is. By the way, even if you prefer Roe v. Wade to the status quo, the silver lining of the status quo is that you have a lot more influence over what the local abortion laws are, because your vote counts a lot more in state elections, and you can vote on who your governor is, who your state legislators are, in referendums, and have a much more direct influence over what the abortion laws are in your state. Now let's evaluate Kamala's claim that she's going to restore women's right to choose. Well, there's only 3 paths to doing that. either the judicial branch, aka the Supreme Court, the executive branch, aka the presidency, or legislative branch, aka Congress. She doesn't really have the power to do that through the judicial branch because that would require choosing a whole bunch of new Supreme Court justices, and it's not really up to her whether she gets the opportunity to do that or not. And as far as the legislative branch, frankly, it's going to be extremely hard to pass any kind of legislation around abortion because she would need a 60-40 majority in the Senate to do that. Moreover, when Roe v. Wade was originally repealed in 2022, she actually had control of the House and the Senate because the Democrats own both. She didn't do it
But
then.
now,
As far as the executive branch goes,
So
Kamala
different.
has been the second most powerful person in the executive branch in the year and 4 months since Roe v. Wade was repealed. So the question is, if she was going to do something through the executive branch, why hasn't she already done it? Now, I'm sympathetic
Good
to women's
question.
concerns about Trump. And in reality, we don't know what Trump's actually going to do once he gets into office. But it's worth noting that you would actually have the same difficulty passing a federal abortion ban as Kamala would have in trying to pass a federal abortion allowance. So hopefully by now, you better understand what Trump's position actually is.
Thank you.
And now a few questions follow from that. How do you feel about the status quo of individual states choosing the abortion laws? How comfortable do you feel with the abortion laws in your own state? If you disagree with the status quo, how important is it to you to move from the status quo back to Roe v. Wade when we consider other priorities that are competing with it, like preventing World War III, or solving the American health crisis, or fixing the economy, or getting the border secure again? And the final question is, if you believe that Kamala is going to restore women's ability to choose, why hasn't she done that already?
Good question. Good question, Kaysen. Good question. Good question, y'all. So again, like I told y'all, I am pro-life all day, baby. Every day. I had no control over my miscarriages. You know what I'm saying? I know what I was doing. So there's no excuse there. I wanted my babies. There's no excuse there. You know what I'm saying? I just always say each month, we know women. 99.99%. As long as our Mother Nature hits us, there's a 99.99% that you can get pregnant. So, do the right thing. If you're not ready, y'all, there are things out there that can control that. There is no need to take an innocent life. There's no need. But this is me. I'm pro-life, so I'm going to look different from the pro-choice. I'm all about pro-life. I'm all about having my babies. If I can today, I would yet have another baby. Yes, I would. But I don't want to put that stress and that strain on my body, but it's a lot of people out here that can't even have kids that want kids. There's so many different other ways of going about getting rid of a life who, honestly, let's just be real, didn't ask to be here. Did not ask to be here. They are blessings to me. They are gifts from God. That's why it says clear as day in the Bible, be fruitful, multiply. Okay? But that's just me, y'all. That's my thing. I'm pro-life. Very touchy subject because, again, I am one of the people who had miscarriages, and that just, oh my God, does something to you. So go to the doctor. You see the heartbeat. Everything is going good. Then you go to your next checkup and I'm sorry, you can't find the heartbeat. And then you go home and you sit there and you rub your belly and you're just like, you get the questions you start asking, you just like, why? Why? Like, it's just, this is a very touchy subject. So I just don't understand how people can really just sit here and argue my body, my choice for an innocent soul that did not ask to be here. I just never understand it. I won't. So I'm pro-life. I'm sorry, y'all. I get very touchy. It's just not my first video. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all go like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video. Make sure you share. Go subscribe to Kaizen Asidu. Hopefully I'm saying his name right, y'all. Please, I'll make sure the link is in my description. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for the love and support. I hope that y'all got the information that y'all needed to get out of this. Until the next reaction, y'all, be safe, remain safe. I am out.